Dumelang ma-Africa a matle.
Magadini Mose.
Olá a todos.
Bonjour.
Nagaiswa.
Goeiedag.
Salibonani lonke.
Mulibwanji.
Hello.
We are
Africa University.
Greetings everyone. My name is Vimbainashe Mutepfa, a final year student at Africa University, studying Bachelor of Science Honours in International Relations. So today, I'll be talking about African Continental Free Trade Agreement and Intra Trade. So, in a GIF, I'll be referring to African Continental Free Trade Agreement as Afcfta. I'll define what Afcfta is. So Afcfta, it is an agreement that was made between 54 African countries designed to create a single market for goods and services across the African continent. It officially began functioning in 2021 to improve intra-African trade. Now let's look at what intra-African trade is.
The IATF 2023 held in Cairo is estimated to have generated a record $43 billion in trade and trade investment related deals, according to the IATF Advisory Council, based on data submitted by trade promotion agencies including Nigeria and South Africa.
The Intra-African Trade Fair is one strong implementation instrument. And with the Afcfta, what we now call the Inter-African Trade Fair, we call it the Afcfta marketplace. That has become the largest single gathering where intra-African trade and investment deals can be made. And that is where they are able to attract investment. We expect we will achieve new heights, especially in the context of today's world, where deglobalization has accelerated and countries and regions are building regional value chains.
Now, what is intra-African trade? Intra-African trade is the exchange of goods and services within a specific region. Now, let's look at the background of Afcfta. It was launched in 2018, aiming to create a single market across 54 countries. It developed under African Union's 23 agenda with an aim of boosting intra-African trade, economic integration, and sustainable development. Now let's look at the bodies that contribute to the creation of Afcfta.
We're coming into the entrance of Africa University. I've seen this, it's on all of their brochures and newsletters.
Now let's look at the bodies that contribute to the formation of Afcfta. We can look at the regional economic communities, which I'll be referring to as RECs in brackets. So RECs played an important role in the implementation of Afcfta. These are economic communities which aims to foster regional integration. The fostering system of regional economic communities include SADC, ECOWAS, EAC, COMESA, and this made it easier to foster cooperation or bringing together markets that already exist in creating a single African market, which is Afcfta. So this became a tool to foster economic collaboration within the continent of Africa. Of development in Africa. So firstly, Afcfta has been able to reduce tariffs on goods traded within Africa by 97%, making it easier and cheaper for African trading within the continent. It has also managed to increase the trade volumes from 3.5% to 4.4% of the world's exports within the period of 2021 until date. In Nigeria, President Tinubu inaugurated the Preferential Trade Initiative, which can also be termed the Guided Trade Initiative, which has promoted free trade.
Africa University has brought the US to me where I couldn't go, and now is taking Africa to the world. And I am Africa.
As a community of diverse cultures and languages, Africa University is passionate about moving the agenda of Pan-Africanism. Africa University, the dream is alive.
So Afcfta has also managed to bring about some achievements in Nigeria. Looking at what President Tinubu has done, he has inaugurated the Preferential Trade Initiative, which can also be termed the Guided Trade Initiative. This initiative has promoted effective free trade in Nigeria with some African countries. Now let's look at the challenges that Afcfta has faced in achieving its ambitions. The first challenge that Afcfta has faced is infrastructural deficit. As said before, giving an example of DRC, it cannot transport goods from Lubumbashi to Kinshasa via road because of lack of infrastructure. So this infrastructure deficit has highly reduced the effectiveness of trade between African countries. We can also give an example of national regulations. So looking at the African countries, they all have different regulations and policies. So some African countries' regulations can also violate and can also be a barrier to the effectiveness of the achievements of Africa.
African trade and movement benefit Africa. The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, historically adopted in March 2018 by the African heads of state, is the world's largest free trade area, expected to augment the value of intra-African trade by around $70 billion by 2040. These figures do not include informal trade, which contributes to the high levels of cross-border interactions that are a significant part of the migration trade nexus in Africa. The African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement recognizes that the presence of persons as one of its means of providing services and creates preferential treatments that prohibits discrimination against African services and service suppliers. In 2013, the African Union adopted Agenda 2063. One of the target areas to be met by 2023 is the free movement of people within the regional economic community member states in the continent, by way of waiver of all visa requirements for intra-African travel. The rationale for the Free Movement of Persons Protocol will strengthen intra-African knowledge and skills transfers, promoting a pan-African identity, social integration, and tourism, improving transporter infrastructure projects and shared development, as well as fostering a comprehensive approach to border management. This will have a significantly positive bearing on trade and the facilitation of trade processes. Entering into force of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement offers a great opportunity to harness not only the benefits of free trade, but also provides opportunities to intra-African migration and the benefit that this can bring. Well-managed migration could substantially boost the continent's GDP per capita by 2030, contributing to the achievement of Africa's regional integration processes and to the continent's socio-economic development. Learn more about trade and movement of people in Africa in the Africa Migration Report.
Political instability is one of the challenges that is affecting the effectiveness of Afcfta in Africa. Let's take an example of Mozambique. Mozambique has some violence after the elections results were published. Now, this is in a way undermining the confidence of some other African countries in coming up with agreements that promote effective trading within the country. We can also look at the example of Aliko Dangote, the largest investor in Africa. He has mentioned in one of the interviews that it is very hard to make some trade agreements with countries like DRC and Rwanda because of the M23 rebels, the fights that are going on between the two countries, because the outcomes of the agreement won't be foretold because of the current political instability within the countries.
Africa is the second largest continent in the world, with a total of 55 countries. Some of them are among the fastest growing economies in the world. But trade within the continent is the lowest in the world. Africa trades more with the rest of the world than with itself. Why is that? There are several reasons for this. Those who want to trade within Africa must overcome many difficulties. Long waiting times at the borders, a lack of or poor transport routes, partly opaque bureaucracy or time-consuming export regulations. This increases the costs and makes trade on the continent unattractive. These hurdles are particularly difficult to overcome for retail traders. But there is a dream. Many institutions and partners have been working to create a common market since the 1960s. This is intended to unite the continent and lead to greater prosperity in the various African countries. The African Continental Free Trade Area, Afcfta, marks an important step towards realizing this dream. The trade ministers of the African Union started negotiations at the end of 2015. After nearly 3.5 years, the Free Trade Area officially entered into force on May 30th, 2019, with more than 22 ratifications. A significant historical and diplomatic success, as well as a major step towards a united and economically strong Africa. The Afcfta has the potential to quadruple intra-African trade. The framework conditions for trade, investment, and employment in Africa are thus now being created in several phases. The German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development has been supporting the African Free Trade Area since 2016 via the Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, GIZ. The GIZ will continue to support negotiations in the future with a view to advancing the African initiative for a modern and ambitious partnership agreement.
We have all seen what Afcfta is, what Intra Trade is, the incorporation of the regional economic communities. We have seen the achievements that Afcfta has done towards the development of Africa. Now we have also seen the challenges that Afcfta is failing to acquire or to meet those ambitions that they have set before them. So now, as an international relations student, I'm going to lay out some recommendations that we can put to promote the achievements of Afcfta, but then we will also hear from the audience what you have to say, what Afcfta should recommend to promote its effectiveness.
Africa University is the school of hope in the valley of dreams. Come and join me. We're gonna make Africa better than before.
You might have not been to all the African countries. Come to Africa University and see Africa happening every day. An institution that offers a world-class education system.
Are you thinking of being a global person? Thinking of enhancing your business and leadership skills? Why not choose Africa University?
As a working mother and a wife, through one of its many flexible programs, Africa University has afforded me an opportunity to pursue my master's degree in intellectual property.
As former SRC president, Africa University sharpened my leadership skills. A university that rewards excellency and hard working.
Being a Catholic nun, I came to Africa University with a lot of mixed feelings. I was scared, a bit hesitant, and wondering how was I going to manage in a United Methodist institution. But you know what? I've experienced a vibrant, God-fearing, ecumenical community.
Welcome to Africa University. Sign up today and come and work with some of Africa's finest young talent.
Now, in the words of Arikana Q Chihombori, she displays a quote that, does Africa needs the world or the world needs Africa? I'll leave this question to you. Now, subscribe, like, comment, and share your recommendations on what Afcfta can do to promote the achievement and the development of Africa.
Welcome to Africa University. Sign up today and come and work with some of Africa's finest young talent. Whatever your background or field of interest, you will feel right at home. Africa University has a vibrant and multicultural student body, offering you a range of facilities both in and outside the classroom. Our dining hall provides for more than 11 different menus with cultural diversity. Should you need accommodation, Africa University caters for a number of residence options. Whatever your level and whatever your sport, at Africa University you'll find plenty of opportunities to stay active. Our excellent sports and fitness facilities will help you stay on top of your game in an environment that promotes a proactive approach to sport, recreation, health and well-being. Every year the university gets multi-talented athletes from among the student body and staff. Their sporting backgrounds are as varied as their nationalities. Some have represented their countries and have received awards in the process. Enroll with us for our March or August intakes. Africa University, investing in Africa's future.